The standard is 8.EE.5, graph proportional relationships interpreting the unit rate as the slope of the graph. And our essential statement is I can find the slope given 2 points. So the first thing we're going to do is a quick review of how to find a slope when you are given a line. So here we have a coordinate plane and here we have a line, and I gave you the points of that line so that you can plot them and draw your line. Okay, so what we did before was you were given this line, you needed to find the slope. How we did that was we drew a triangle from one point to the next and counted the units that it took to get from one point to the next. So here we went up 1, 2, 3, 4, and we went to the left 1, which is -1. What we need to remember is that slope is equal to rise over run. The rise is the units of the y and the run is the units of the x. So we rise +4 and we run -1. And when we simplify that, that just equals -4. So our slope for this line is -4. Today what we're going to do is we're going to find the slope of a line when we are given just 2 points. So instead of graphing it, counting it, writing it down, we're going to use the formula given to find the slope of the line given these 2 points. So here we have some review and something new. Okay, so the slope is equal to the rise over run, which is equal to the change in y over the change in x. And another way you can write that is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. This is really important. This is how you find the slope when you are only given 2 points. This is the formula to find the slope between 2 points. Okay. So now we're going to do an example, but before we do an example, we can go ahead and write down the steps to finding the slope when we are given 2 points. So the steps are as follows. The first step is to label your points. If you notice, I already did that for my example. Our example states, find the slope of the line given the points 3, 2 and 5, 3. So the first thing I did was I labeled my points. This is my first point. This is my first x and my first y. Therefore, the 3 is x1 and the 2 is y1. This is my second point. This is my second x and my second y. Therefore, the 5 is x2 and the 3 is y2. Now, yeah, you could have thought of this as your first point and labeled it x1, y1, but what you cannot do is you cannot mix x, like for example, you cannot write x1, y2 or x2, y1. It has to be x1, y1 and x2 and y2. This is very important for when you are using the formula. All right, next, we are going to write down the formula. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So my formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. This is so we have something to reference. Our next step is to replace the variables with parentheses. Now I make you do this because when we deal with negative numbers, this will be very important to separate all of the signs. So please do not forget this step. The next step is to fill in the x's and the y's based on the formula given. So my first parenthesis is y2. So looking at my points, y2 is equal to 3. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. Then we go to y1. y1 is 2. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. x2 is 5. And x1 is 3. And my last step is to solve and simplify. So 3 minus 2 is 1, and 5 minus 3 is 2. And my slope of this line is 1 over 2 because I cannot simplify that any further. Okay, moving on. Last example. All right, find the slope of the points -5, 1 and -7, -8. So as you can see, I already did the first 2 steps for you. I labeled my points and I wrote down the formula. The next step is to replace the variables with parentheses. Again, you will see why it is very important. This step is super important. Do not forget it. Then we fill in our x's and our y's. y2 is -8. y1 is 1. x2 is -7. And x1 is -5. And then we solve. -8 minus 1 is equal to -9. You should already know how to do operations with integers, and if you do not, then we need to review that. -7 minus -5. 2 negatives right next to each other become a positive. And then we have -7 plus 5, which equals -2. Now we cannot simplify anything with the numbers, but we can see that we have 2 negatives right here and 2 negatives make a positive. So our slope for this line is 9/2. Please keep your answer as an improper fraction. You never, ever, ever write slope as a mixed number. If you have any questions on how to find the slope of the line given 2 points, please feel free to let me know.